Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Balabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamanatira Vanachadi Jamanatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamunatira Vanachadi Jamanatira Vanachadi Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayom Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivitacharya Astakarutasi Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Gaura Premanandi. So we're continuing with Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur calls this chapter, Prabhupada has named it, the Gopis sing of Krishna as he wanders in the forest. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur calls it Yugala Gita. Yugala means what? Amorous pastimes. Yugala Gita. So the songs of the Gopis, they're singing to pacify their feelings of separation, eagerly awaiting their meeting again with Krishna in the nightfall, after twilight, to join Krishna again, but he's absent and they're trying to mitigate their feelings of separation by remembering his pastimes and calling different activities as Krishna departs in the morning and with the cowherd boys and so forth and so on. And then he returns. So here's Brihat Bhagavatamrita. What's that? Yugala, amorous pastimes. It's commonly used in relation to the Madhurya of the Gopis, but it more broadly means amorous pastimes, loving pastimes. So Brihat Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami writes, the Gopis, singing Krishna's pastimes, entered the village where they began the day absorbed in thoughts of his company. Commentary. The Gopis are Krishna's greatest devotees, dedicated to him even more intensely than Sri Nanda and the other elder cowherd men and women. The Gopis spend the entire day fully absorbed in the Sankirtan of singing about the rasa dance and other pastimes they had shared with Krishna. They remembered how they had enjoyed these pastimes and they looked forward to having more pastimes with him soon. Some of the songs of the Gopis. Some of the songs the Gopis sang are recorded. Want to hear the recording? Canto 10, Chapter 35, Srimad Bhagavatam. Here's one. Text 2 and 3. When Mukunda vibrates the flute he has placed to his lips, stopping its holes with his tender fingers, he rests his left cheek on his left arm and makes his eyebrows dance. At that time, the demigoddesses traveling in the sky with their husbands, the Siddhas, become amazed. As those ladies listen, they are embarrassed to find their minds yielding to the pursuit of lusty desires. And in their distress, they are unaware that the belts of their garments are loosening. Now we're going forward to text 4 and 5, because these are in couplets, as you remember. So it starts with Hanta. Hanta. Oh girls, this son of Nanda, who gives joy to the distressed, bears steady lightning on his chest. We're going to hear, they don't know about the goddess of fortune. They just see this shining lightning that doesn't move. That's how they're depicting it. We'll hear. Vidyut, stira vidyut, motionless lightning. Nanda, who gives joy to the distressed, bears steady lightning on his chest and has a smile like a jeweled necklace. Now please hear something wonderful. When he vibrates his flute, Vraja's bulls, deer, and cows, standing in groups at a great distance, are all captivated by the sound, and they stop chewing the food in their mouths and cock their ears, stunned. They appear as if asleep or like figures in a painting. So beautiful, huh? They get a good score in their poetry class. The word stira vidyut, or steady lightning, refers to, this is purport BBT, refers to the goddess of fortune who resides in the chest of the Supreme Lord. When the animals of Vrindavan hear the sound of the flute, they become stunned in ecstasy, and thus they stop chewing their food and cannot swallow it. The gopis, in separation from Kṛṣṇa, marvel at the extraordinary effect of the Lord's flute playing. Paragraph. Srila HH Swami gives the following explanation of the compound word hara hasa, which compares Lord Krishna's smile to a necklace. Quote, the word can mean he whose smile is brilliantly clear like a jeweled necklace, or he whose smile is reflected from his jeweled necklaces. Because while Krishna plays the flute, he bends his head down and smiles. The word can also mean he whose smile, like a jeweled necklace, casts its effulgence upon his chest, or he whose necklaces shine brilliantly just like a smile. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, what to speak of the intelligent wives of the devatas, the inferior animals also become completely bewildered. One other gopi spoke, quote, this is more astonishing than the most astonishing thing. Our young women, the word is abala, which means weak persons. Our young women, abala, whose vow of chastity to husband has become stolen by Kṛṣṇa. O young woman, O young women. We'll do it again. O young women, abala, whose vow of chastity to husband has been stolen by Kṛṣṇa, on his chest, like a cloud effulgent with a necklace, like a string of flying cranes, flashes the golden line of Lakshmi, like stationary lightning. O gopis, the hot sun of your vows of chastity have been covered by that cloud of Krishna's chest, with its lightning and flying cranes. He makes you who are suffering become the object of ridicule for society. Narma da. When does he do this? When he blows his flute. Kujita venuhu. Just on hearing the flute, your belts become loose. When you attain the state of unmada, you become the object of ridicule for all people. Unmada is a state of madness in ecstatic love. Paragraph. Kṛṣṇa not only enchants you women, but also the animals and other entities. When the bulls, cows, and forest animals chew on the grass and the sound of the flute enters their bodies through their ears, they cannot swallow the grass. but remain stunned, listening to the flute. Their hearts are stolen by the sound of the flute. Their senses are so bewildered that they appear as if sleeping. The chewed grass remains in their mouths, not falling to the ground. They attain ΣUBSCRIBE, so a nectar devotion class. It means continued ecstasy. They attained ΣUBSCRIBE called Jadya. Jadya is a symptom of ΣUBSCRIBE. ΣUBSCRIBE has different symptoms. One of them is Jadya, which means stunned or loss of memory or dullness. The animals are in ecstasy. ΣUBSCRIBE, continuous ecstasy. Breathing becomes weak, and they remain standing still like painted pictures. Rather than being statues, being like painted pictures gives more astonishment. It was as if a remarkable artist had painted pictures on the canvas of the sky. This gives rise to Adbhuta Rasa. I mean, the poetry is just fantastic. All glories to our acharyas. Jiva Goswami writes, having come to the edge of the forest, so the picture is he's leaving Braja and he's going to the forest to herd the cows. So he's disappearing from their sight, entering into the forest. Having come to the edge of the forest, he plays his flute in order to gather together all the cows and cowherds, to give joy to the forest inhabitants, and to tell the people of Braja following him to return home while comforting them. What to speak of the people? All the animals in the forest and Braja become bewildered. Here's this word, hanta again. Hanta, alas, expresses their astonishment. Then they directly speak. This is astonishing, chitram, oh girls, abala, oh weak persons. On hearing the sound of the flute, they have lost the power of their senses to speak because of the agitation caused by prema. Please listen. They give instructions. He has motionless lightning on his chest. This refers to the famous line of Lakshmi on his chest, but they do not mention this since it is famous. It is astonishing because the lightning is motionless. His chest is compared to a cloud, which accompanies lightning. Worried that Lakshmi is a competing lover, they become envious. This is not the worldly kind. They become envious on seeing that she stays on his chest without moving away. Along with the clouds and lightning is the image of a crane, indicated by the words hara, or crane, and hasa, white. This image of the clouds, of the cloud, indicates the ability of the chest to relieve suffering. He is the son of Nanda, meaning one who gives joy to the universe. Therefore, by his nature, he should give us bliss. He gives bliss to those suffering, like the cows and the deer. He has come out of his house now, or he can now be experienced by everyone. He plays the flute. Paragraph. He has an attractive smile. Hara, hasa. His chest is charming and bright. The bulls kept in Braja for pulling carts, and the black deer, the cows that go to the forest with him, and other animals also, cannot swallow, chew, or spit out the grass in their mouths, because their hearts have become so attracted by the sound of the flute. They fear making any sound that will interrupt the flute. In holding the grass in their mouths, they also say, quote, "Do not play the flute any longer, for we will faint." They appear to be sleeping, but sleeping people also move. No, they are like painted pictures of bulls and cows. A painted picture, ЛИКЕ, chitram, is more astonishing than an engraved image. Sanatana Goswami writes, having come to the edge of the forest, he plays his flute to give joy to the forest inhabitants, his assistants who have been separated from him by the night, and to send the gopis home, following him and pained by separation. The bewilderment of the bulls and other animals of Braja, by giving mercy to the people of Braja with his flute, is joyfully described in 2 verses. Paragraph. Hanta expresses surprise. How astonishing, Chitra! Oh, girls, Abala. This Abala also means weak. Bala and Abala. Suggesting the gopis have lost the power of their senses because of the disturbance of prema. He has stationary lightning on his chest. That's a contradiction, right? This is Lakshmi, who is fickle and golden. His chest is compared to a cloud. Not knowing about this line, who is Lakshmi on his chest, they describe it as lightning. Paragraph. He is the son of Nanda. Nanda means he who gives joy to the world. Having his father's nature, Kṛṣṇa also gives joy to the world. Ayam indicates that he is now leaving the house. The sound of his flute is also very close, or Nanda Sunuhu means the son who gives joy to all of Braja. Ayam indicates that everyone is directly experiencing him. He gives joy, Narma Do, to the suffering people when, with his flute, he announces his journey to the forest, where he will be during the day, to the animals and birds of the forest and village who were separated from him during the night. His flute comforts the gopis. Paragraph. The sound of the flute in this verse can also indicate that it is not a song, just some sounds. All the animals in Braja, such as the bulls, the Kṛṣṇa deer, cows, and the 1-year-old calves, both male and female, are included in the words bull and cows, react to the sound. The new calves are far from their mothers. Others, being new, are kept within Braja. These are all indicated here. The buffaloes and boars also are similarly affected by the flute. The bulls are specifically mentioned because Kṛṣṇa has affection for them. The deer in Braja are mentioned since they are friends with the other animals in Braja. Also, the deer are mentioned to represent all other animals. That is implied in the verse. The order of the animals is according to increasing excellence of attraction to the Lord. The deer are superior to the bulls, and the cows are superior to the deer. They have more intelligence to relish the song of the flute. The assisting cow herds are not mentioned, since they are always completely full of bliss. Paragraph. Their hearts are stolen by the playing, or vadya, of the flute, without even seeing him. Thus his playing is mentioned again. They have mouthfuls of chewed grass in their mouths, which is neither swallowed nor spit out, because their hearts have been stolen. It is as if they fear making any noise when they hear the flute. Their ears are raised to hear the flute. In sleeping, there is some movement. The example of a painted picture is given to indicate there is no movement at all. The word nikita is used so that the word chitra does not mean simply astonishing, but instead means picture. The depiction in the picture is exact. On hearing the flute once in the distance, their hearts become agitated. By hearing it again, they put their feet, their front feet, over their ears to prevent the sound, fearing death by separation. They do not swallow food to prevent the sound from entering within. Then they seem to faint by seeing him and constantly hearing the sound. This response is considered superior to that of the heavenly women. So this is way up there. We'll read a little bit more. This is Jiva Goswami and his Priti Sandarbha. In the previous verse about the people of Braja and separation, a meeting is also evident at the end of the day. The gopis express the joy of the inhabitants of Braja on being with Kṛṣṇa. So this is going back to chapter 21. O friend, Vrindavan is spreading the glory of the earth, having obtained the treasure of the lotus feet of Kṛṣṇa, the son of Devaki, with peacocks dancing madly when they hear Govinda's flute, with all other creatures remaining stunned on the top of the hills as they watch the dancing. And then this verse is quoted, text 4. O girls, this son of Nanda who gives joy to the distressed bears motionless lightning on his chest and has an attractive smile. And though the last section is a little technical, it's going to include some terms that are nectar devotion terms. So get ready for that. Now, Dasya Bhakti Maya Rasa will be discussed. Jiva Goswami Priti Sandarbha. So he's expanding from that pastime some of the finer terminology and details of this picture. The alambana is Kṛṣṇa. So alambana means the meeting of lover and beloved. So Kṛṣṇa is the shelter of this meeting, the shelter of Dasya Bhakti, appearing as the master. So these are elements of rasa, and he's speaking. So alambana, the shelter of that exchange of Dasya Bhakti. It's Krishna. The adharas, that means support or foundation. Adhara, the adharas are his servants, attractive to him. So this is Dasya Bhakti topic. His servants who are attractive to him, who participate in his pastimes. Krishna has the form of the Supreme Lord with human form, as was previously analyzed for the palyas. So palyas, this is in an earlier section of Priti Sandarbha, he discusses palyas. Those are means pala, like protection. Those are who are to be protected and maintained. Paragraph. Based on their conception of the Lord, these palyas are divided into three types. Those who tend his body, followers, and servants. So this is Dasya Bhakti, Maya Rasa. So the palyas is in that group, and that group has three divisions. First, those who tend his body are those who massage him, those who offer betel, cloth, and scents. So when we're reading pastimes and we're hearing some do this and some do that, there's refined understanding of what's going on. So these are palyas that do that service, bodily service. Then there's another. These are attendants, or the Sanskrit is parshadas. Some attendants or parshadas are advisors, chariot drivers. Even advisors are in Dasya. Chariot drivers, commanders of armies, justice ministers, and district supervisors, and those who, by skill and knowledge, etc., enliven the assembly. Priests are predominant elders who are included in the category of gurus or elders, yet they are also attendants or parshadas in part. So we have two divisions: personal attendants, parshadas, and the third, the servants, include horsemen, foot soldiers, and craftsmen. Generally, those who attend his body are dearest, and parshadas are next, followed by servants. Uddhava, we all know who is Uddhava. Daruka, no, so there's a Daruka, cowherd boy, and there's a Daruka, the chariot driver of Krishna. But Uddhava, Daruka, and others who are parshadas also have excellence of bodily service. They surpass all others. So it's like this, it's a perfect, more perfect, most perfect. And Uddhava is in the most perfect, and Daruka is similarly, because of bodily service, and parshadas, they're assisting in so many ways. Uddhava is best. Quote from the 11th chapter of Canto 11. This is Krishna speaking to Uddhava Gita. Oh, beloved of the Yadu dynasty, because you are my servant, well-wisher, and friend, I shall now speak to you, who listen well, the supreme secret. Sounds similar, right? Like Krishna saying to Arjuna, Bhaktosi me sakancheti. Paragraph. The udipanas are the same as those of ashraya bhakti. Udipanas means stimulations of ecstatic love. So the udipanas are the same as those of ashraya bhakti. Ashraya is a term, It's something like neutrality, Shanta, Bhakti or Shantarati. They just take shelter of Krishna. So the stimulations are the same for Dasya and Ashraya Bhakti. Particularly for the servitors of his body, their qualities are beauty and softness of his body. The activities are sleeping, eating, etc. The objects are articles suitable for his service and his remnants. Among the attendants, just going back to these three categories, the Parshadas, the qualities are his power as king, etc. That's what stimulates their ecstatic love, the udipanas. Among the servants, the qualities are majesty, etc. Should I do that paragraph again? Is it clear? I'll do it again. The topic, this paragraph, it's just a few sentences, taking those three categories and saying what stimulates their Dasya Bhakti in these three different categories. That's udipanas. It's the same for this ashraya, but it's now moving to dasya. And so what are the stimulants for those that do bodily service? Krishna's qualities of beauty and softness of his body. The activities are sleeping, eating, etc. So when Krishna is resting, they massage his legs and so forth. The objects are articles suitable for his service and his remnants. So sleeping and eating, etc. Then the Parshadas, the stimulations for the Parshadas, the qualities are his power as king, etc. Then the third category among his servants, the qualities are majesty, etc. Aishwarya, majesty. A little technical, but it's nice. The anubhavas, gosh, another term. Anubhava means bodily symptoms. When the devotees are experiencing an internal ecstasy, there's external symptoms of that internal ecstasy. That's the anubhavas. And here's a list straight from, this is not Nectar Devotion, this is Chaitanya Charitamrita. Anubhavas, here's 13. Dancing, that's an anubhava. Rolling on the ground, it's an anubhava. Singing, yelling, jumping, making loud noises, yawning, heavy breathing, not caring for public opinion, discharging saliva, roaring laughter, unsteadiness, and hiccuping. When we hiccup, it's not an anubhava, it's something else. The anubhavas are as previously mentioned. In union, so yoga, bhakti, dasya bhakti, they engage in their duties. At the time of service, they lament. And there is appearance of shivering, being stunned, etc. Their special quality is absorption in their duties. Trembling, etc. are common to all, thus the absorption in their service is stronger. This is mentioned with one of the cowherd boys that's fanning Kṛṣṇa, and he's experiencing trembling of his body because of ecstasy, and he tries to check it because it's interfering with his fanning Kṛṣṇa. That's what's the statement. Their service mode is so strong when there's transformations and symptoms of ecstasy. They're not interested in that. They're interested in the service. Trembling, etc. are common to all. Thus, the absorption in their service is stronger. This should also be concluded elsewhere concerning rasa. Even in separation, they seek to do service, or they serve deities of the Lord. Some more Sanskrit terminology. The Vyavachari bhavas are as previously described. The sthayi is called Dasya Bhakti. It is predominated by Aishvarya Gyan in Akrura and others. In Uddhava, though Aishvarya Gyan is present, Madhurya Gyan predominates. Clear? Okay, good. The people of Vraja have only Madhurya. Their priti, this is priti sandarbha, their affection is bhakti dash maya, or the energy of bhakti, bhakti maya, because of the presence of reverence. They see him as the son of the king of the cowherds with great powers and qualities. So he made some very clever arrangements so that people, when he exhibits his powers, they know how to process it. It's regarding what he said. He'd be invested with powers by Lord Narayan. No problem. He's our son. Reference is Canto 10, Chapter 38. Akrura's visit to Vrindavan, coming from Mathura. Akrura then saw Krishna and Balaram in the village of Braja going to milk the cows. Krishna wore yellow garments, Balaram blue, and their eyes resembled autumnal lotuses. Paragraph. Though Akrura saw Krishna with his sweetness at the Jamuna, prominent knowledge of Krishna's Aishvarya is clear because his astonishment was nourished by that Aishvarya. The predominance of Madhurya Gyan in Uddhava is evident when he praises the good fortune of the people of Gokula. Right? Akrura was sent by Krishna, and when he saw what he saw, he was praising their good fortune. So the sweetness is very strong in Uddhava compared to Akrura. Paragraph. After Krishna's disappearance, Uddhava states that remembering Krishna, absorbed in his human pastimes, increases the pain of separation, even though he knows Krishna is all-powerful. The sweetness again. And he quotes, this is the end. Canto 3, Chapter 2, he's speaking to Vidura. Uddhava says, Krishna's appearance in the prison house of Kamsa in miserable circumstances, his stay in Braja out of fear of enemies, and his leaving Mathura, though he has infinite power, used to give me great suffering. He knows that Krishna is the all-powerful Supreme Lord. And the pain that is the feelings of separation. So that's the sweetness that's within Uddhava. That whole section, Canto 3, Chapter 2, when he's starting to respond to Vidura's questions, it's really fantastic. It's quite long. It discloses Uddhava's heart. It's repeating his pastimes, but it's the main thing is his heart. And the predominance is he understands the divinity of Krishna, and he has the same feelings that the residents of Vrindavan have for Krishna. That's feelings of separation. Say it differently, with the feelings of majesty, that doesn't become so prominent. Let's take religions of the world and their acknowledgement of God, the Almighty. It's not a prominent message you hear, separation. It's glorification, God Almighty, etc., etc. And, asking for His mercy and so forth. It's not this intimacy of feeling. It's stimulated by the Bhagavatam and those that know the science of Krishna, and particularly rasas in relation to Krishna that go beyond majesty. So, elevated subject. Let's see if there's some discussion.
Guru Maharaj, I did not understand what is uddipanas.
Stimulation of ecstatic love. So let Krishna's smile. That's a stimulation for ecstatic love. Krishna's eyes movements. It's a stimulation for ecstatic love. Seeing his movements of his head tilted in threefold bending form. It's a stimulation for ecstatic love. The clothes that he wears, the description of his garlands, they're stimulations of ecstatic love.
Yes, I got it. So, in the Dasya Bhakti, there are 3 categories, and each of them have their own stimulation of, depending on what they see in Krishna is what they say.
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same object, but according to their love, they perceive this or that or the other, and this or that or the other stimulates their love.
That's so wonderful.
Huh?
That is so wonderful, I said it so.
He's one entity, but different persons see him in different ways according to their nature. It's natural. We do it all the time. That's it? Okay. Anything?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. Confirming that Uddhava is in a Dasya bhav and Arjuna is in Sakya bhav.
Nice question. I seem to recall the comparison between Arjuna and Uddhava is they're both in Sakya. Just that there's a greater intimacy with Uddhava than with Arjuna. So before saying yes or no, I want to. It sounds like, from what we just read, but I recall some other references that speak differently. So I'll see if I can find the answer to that one.
Another follow-up question to Vibhu Chaitanya Prabhu. So these 3 categories, they are just degrees of...
Well, the only degree, yes, there is degrees. So the primary degree is the bodily, then the attendants and the servants. So it's a little more distant, a little more intimate, a little more intimate. And their feelings correspond. And Krishna's engaging people accordingly. Okay? You have a doubt?
Hare Krishna. So all these pastimes are so elevated.
Yes.
I was feeling that many people in this world, they do not even agree to the existence of God.
Yes.
I mean,
Covered.
and this is taking us so near to the God.
Yes.
So there is a like a gulf of difference all around the world.
Yes. Yeah.
So how they will it like, does it take so many births, and that's how this world is going on, like it takes so many births to go nearer to, like every birth they make some progress, something like that.
Not necessarily. It can be degradation instead of progress.
So how should we take it? Like it is
We're
just
just
a
getting
great
we're getting a lot of mercy,
mercy.
and we're our eligibility is zip. We're just getting a lot of mercy.
Yes, Maharaj, thank you.
You said people of Vraja have only Madhurya Bhav.
They only have what?
Madhurya Bhav.
Why do you say that?
The note in some statement I heard like that.
You heard like that?
Yeah. No?
No. All of us, all of the residents of Vraja have some degree of Madhurya. The degree of Madhurya, one way of describing it is they wish to see Krishna happy, and the greatest happiness of Krishna is his loving exchange with Radha. So they assist in that. It's a strain or a flavor or a mood that they all carry, but they have their particular rasa. Okay, online questions or no?
This question from Vishaka, Atulya Mataji's daughter. She is 6 years old.
She's 6 years old. I was going to ask Atulya. She can send a little message. How old is Radha?
Radha is 8 years old.
8, 6 and 8. Okay, got it. Because I got it wrong yesterday. 4, 6. She's 6. Wow, growing up fast.
Is it okay if I chant lying down sometimes when I am tired?
Yes. You can chant standing on your head too.
Yawning, in one of the symptoms of external symptoms of ecstasy, yawning is indicative of sleep and laziness. How to understand it as one of the transformations?
Because it's an ecstasy. You know, how the body moves in such a way that yawning is an ecstasy, I don't know the science, but it's one of the symptoms. Now, it's different than our yawning, but it's an ecstatic yawning is an ecstatic symptom. It's not like, let's say, you know, the hair standing on end. It's not like, okay, guys. It's just a bodily transformation. Yawning is like that too. Go ahead.
Let us question from Uttama Bhakta. One question from yesterday's class. We discussed about the lusty desires of the wives of demigods were evoked when they were passing and they saw Krishna. But Krishna is only very young.
Yes.
Was very young at that time. So how can we understand that?
It's not a material attraction. Another example is the wives of the brahmanas. When they come to give Krishna the food that was being asked, because the cowherd boys are hungry, or Krishna and Balaram are hungry. The words they speak are exactly, almost exactly, the words that the gopis speak. So Krishna, that's their rasa. That's how they regard Krishna. It doesn't, let's go to the rishis in the Dandak forest and how they saw Ram. It's not a material conception. It's a transcendental conception. So we have to get used to transcendental conceptions instead of the material ones.
Another question from Uttama Bhakta Prabhu. For the sake of understanding, is Bhagavad Gita like pure milk? Srimad Bhagavatam is like honey, and Chaitanya, is it CCA? Chaitanya Charitamrita is like cream?
I never heard that expression, but if you have, that's fine.
That's all.
Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki